Welcome to Unfiltered 3, Spilling the Tea with Cece,
Autumn,
and Brie.
Hi, friends.
How are you guys today? Let us know in the comments on our social media. Today we are going to be talking about navigating adult friendships. And that starts with making friends as an adult, maintaining those relationships, having a deeper connection with them, getting vulnerable despite past traumas with friendships, all that juicy stuff.
Yeah, so we briefly touched on having big moves and having to make those friendships when being an adult. And so we thought it would be a really cool topic to share with you guys.
kind of dive a little deeper in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, making friends as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally glad that I made friends as an adult through my relationship. I have you guys because of that, and that's really it. I know there's like coworkers. I work from home now, so I don't really have that in my physical life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When I did work in town here, though, I don't really build like deeper friendship connections with coworkers. That's kind of a different level in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like we can get deeper into that in a second, but have you guys made friends as an adult outside of was it just through a relationship, or have you actually put yourself out there and made a new friend somehow?
So yeah, I would say I'm probably the friend maker in my relationship. My boyfriend will bring, some of his older friends around, like here and now, but not frequently. It's mainly just our core friend group. I did meet our core friend group through family, but I still built those separate relationships. And then I do have outside friends of our friend group. Not very many, but they are past coworkers. That would, that was a time where I had to be a little bit more selective because, like, work, friendship, relationships can get messy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of learn to like vibe off of who they are and how we meshed and how natural it flowed. Like I feel like in that aspect, you really just can't force relationships to happen.
Mhm.
You kind of have to let them happen if they happen, or they don't if they don't. And especially with like a lot of trauma around that
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
workplace, and it just being like really toxic, and you would say one thing thinking that you're venting to a friend and you're just frustrated in that moment, and then the next thing you know, it got warped and twisted, and now you're being talked to and you're like, what? And it's just, yeah, you gotta be careful. There's a lot of that in a lot of different ways.
How do you guys decide which friend? So if you're making friends, you're obviously getting to know these people. How do you decide which ones to put more energy? Is it just a vibe for you? Because it is for me.
Mm.
Are there little symbols or signs you guys look out for?
Well, first off, it's 110% always the vibe.
Yeah.
Like the first initial vibe I get off of you is how I'm going to react to you. I try and get to know each person that I meet. I might be slow to get to know you. But I rarely do I immediately just be like, no. Like they have to be a really bad vibe for me to be like, no.
Yeah, which I felt before.
I've felt that before.
Yeah.
But most of the time, because I know I'm anxious meeting a new person, I try and remember like they're probably anxious meeting a new person. And when you're anxious and you're in the thick of it, you're not as warm
Yeah.
and like welcoming. And because like I definitely know, and I have like really bad resting bitch face, right? So like I know some people in my past life probably thought I was a downright bitch.
Yeah, probably put off a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was like, don't talk to me.
What was that like? Do you think that was the energy or just your face that was putting out?
Oh,
Like,
this is both. Both, There's a reason why. I mean, my when I'm just relaxed, I look like, I look like, or like focused is really what it comes to be.
Mm,
But like most of the time when I was focused that way, it was like, okay, just get to the classroom. Like if it was in high school, I'd be like, okay, you just got to get to the classroom. You just get to the classroom. So I'd be like, focus on the classroom. If I'm focused on the classroom, no one else can stop and talk to me. And I won't have to have the social interaction. Yeah.
interesting.
But I was on the cheerleading team and in choir and I did all
Yeah,
these
super
things,
social,
but like not
but like
social.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved talking to people. I
No.
was in a lot of groups because I loved being surrounded by friendly people. At least at the time, I thought they were friendly.
Yeah. I was more likely to make friends with you if we hung out on a one-on-one basis. Like if we were partners in a class on a project when we were talking that way, I'm more likely to get to know you, or we sat next to each other in a class for the whole year or whatever,
Hmm.
than I am you put me in a group situation. I ain't gonna say none.
Yeah, I'm a hit or miss with a group situation for sure.
Yeah.
I'm either in my shell or I'm completely out of it. So you just never know what you're gonna get with me.
It depends for me too, depends on the setting. I would go out and do things with like the local choir or like there's small programs or something here to go and make friends if I had a buddy. But if I was on my own, like if I didn't have you guys, if I moved somewhere else and I was on my own, I would put myself out there to do that and hopefully make friends and hope I find someone like you, Cece, who is the social person who would come up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me and then I'd be like,
Get you,
okay, and
get you
start to get to
going.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in school and stuff, I would be the project leader and stuff. I tend to step into that role easily. So if it was something like that, I could get out of my shell. So it kind of depends in that sense. But as far as making this step further to be friends, I do have that trauma there where I have to slowly put down the barriers and learn that I can trust you. And that's a very slow, long process. And if they slip up, then a wall goes back up and it's just it's a long process and some people just don't make it through it or I don't
Hmm.
stay in the situation long enough for it to really progress into anything further. I don't really put myself out there anymore. I have my friend group, but yeah.
Have you ever most? Is there one particular person that you wish would have stuck in a little longer? I'm curious. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Because I
Hmm.
can understand like someone not knowing you being like, does she just not want to hang out with me?
I don't know because the only people that really fit in that situation where I wasn't there long enough would have been my ex coworkers who you guys know too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I stayed there long enough, if that would have progressed more, or if they would have hung out with our friend group more again, or anything like that. I don't really know. I think that also would depend on them, and I couldn't really get that pick up the feeling of whether they wanted to deepen that connection too.
So I feel like I can actually touch on your question a little
Mm.
bit, being how you and I were.
Mhm.
We were really slow to become close.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there were a couple times where I was like, I would ask Derek and I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, does she not like me?
Mm-hmm.
Is like, did I say something wrong? Just being the overthinker that I am. And then I went through the phase of my life where like friendships are going to happen when they happen.
Mm-hmm.
And just like relationships are. And you just kind of got to like let it naturally flow. So I just let it naturally flow and I let you take the lead on it because I was
Mhm.
like, that's fine. I'm like, we both have our walls and we both have like a lot of trauma there, but we handle it differently. Like
Mhm.
me, I probably didn't have like a really, really deep conversation with you for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm slow to talk about those things with
Mm-hmm.
but I'll tell you all about what I did yesterday. And like, I'm so open in certain ways and then very, very, very reserved and closed off in others. But it was an ebb and flow kind of thing for a while there where we were trying to figure out, okay, she does like me. Okay, we are friends, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that if someone, came into your life and they were willing to just let it naturally flow,
Mhm.
they're going to become your friend
Yeah.
Yeah.
versus someone who's like demanding,
Mhm.
like demanding or needs that type of friendship. Like there's just different types of friendships I feel that you need in different aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
There's also that aspect there for me that I was also healing from other things where
Mhm.
like your this friend group is there's a lot of we're going to go out and do things or constantly hang out together,
Mhm.
and I grew up again very isolated, so
Mhm.
like leaving the house or doing things with a lot of people, like I when I say I'm the introverted of introvert, I get really drained from interactions, and it was a lot at first and I needed more of my time, and I also needed to put that boundary there for myself to protect my energy and to slowly kind of almost like working a muscle,
Mhm.
like being able to go out and do things more instead of just overwhelming myself and then just going into a meltdown and having to shut down for a week because I'm
Mhm.
just so burnt out and exhausted just from simple social interaction because it was so much for me from the way I grew up.
Yeah. I
So,
can totally see how that would be very difficult.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
someone like Eve, I remember seeing you like kind of off to the side at a
Mhm.
get together, and
Mhm.
me thinking she must be very overwhelmed. Now I know why,
Yeah.
but before it was just like, I remember sitting down with you at one point thinking, I don't want her to sit alone. And it gave us more time to have a connection and talk it through.
Mhm.
And normally, uh, I might not do that at a party, but I always with you. I've told you I felt very
Mhm.
comfortable, very, very at ease.
Yeah.
No
See,
judgment. Yeah.
the people that come to me, like in those situations, I also didn't know at the time that I have auditory processing stuff where noises, especially a lot of noises at the same time, overwhelm me and overstimulate me a lot very fast. So parties or like larger get-togethers with multiple people where they're talking over each other and having multiple conversations, I kind of freeze.
You can't
I
focus.
Mm-hmm.
can't,
Yeah.
and I have an anxiety attack
Mhm.
essentially. It's a meltdown very commonly mixed together. But so when people come to me and sit down with me and have just like a one on one conversation that's a little bit, especially if it's a little bit further away from the other conversations, so I can just tune into them. And then it ends up being like they help me ground because they're calm in that moment. And then we end up having usually a deeper conversation or something that isn't small talk,
I
which
feel
is
like you
also
and I do that
draining.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I need. For sure.
Mm-hmm. I even enjoy those moments when we're sitting together and like on our phones
Yeah.
because we're enjoying that time together. It might not be doing the same thing, but
That
it's
is
like,
that is a concept I introduced to Bree.
really?
Yes.
Huh.
I mean, I didn't really hang out with friends and do nothing. If I was getting out of the house, I was actually able to go and do something. So
Mm,
it was always hanging out with people to do something. It was never just being together.
gotcha. Hmm. So do you like it? Does it feel good?
It's
No.
still a weird concept in my body. Like there's almost an anxiety there of like,
Should I be doing something?
that or like they're in this space while I'm not doing something at the same time. Like just
Ah,
I feel that energy there and it's just not as quiet. And so it's different. And it's not bad. It's just different. And
yeah,
again, it's like stretching that muscle.
yeah. I'm getting a little view more now into you.
Yeah.
A lot of things, start to come together when you get to know a person.
Well, I remember we were talking, and it was probably one of the first conversations we had because I would say we bonded over our talking about mental health
Hmm.
and being open about that stuff
Hmm.
and just kind of like our views on it. And we had very similar views on it. And so we
Hmm.
would talk about that a lot. And I remember one of those being a conversation about the noises and all of
Hmm.
that. And saying to her, like, oh, well, if you ever just wanted to hang out and we can watch TV while we're on our phones or we're just chilling, we're just vibing, but we're hanging out, and
Mm-hmm.
we can get to know each other a little bit better. And so we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I've never thought of that." And that's something that I did all the time when, I lived in Virginia, 'cause I mean, my parents worked all the
Mhm.
time, and so I'd either be alone or I'd have a friend over,
Mhm.
and you can only do so much with a friend when you have no adult supervision and, I mean, and you're being have.
Yeah.
You're behaving. Because one look from my dad, now my ass is grass. I wasn't touching that.
Yeah.
But, anyways, so, like, there's only so much we would play
Yeah.
Wii, but at some point, like, we would honestly just be doing our thing, but hanging out, and it felt more like a family aspect than like that. I
Mhm.
find I feel like it's like that one next level.
Yeah. You also, the concept of, hey, you're going to your nephew's birthday party. You can invite me to something like that. Like, I'll be your buddy. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what? You'd want to do something like that with me? Like
Oh,
that was.
I would say so this is kinda like playing into our love languages.
Mm.
I would definitely say that one of my love languages with friends is just doing errand type things. Like, Grace and I, every time we're together, we're doing all the things, and I fucking love it. I enjoy every single moment of it.
Mm.
She can cart me around to her grocery store or
Mhm.
so and so family member or whatever. I don't care. I'm just with her. I'm having fun.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, kinda making a mundane thing a little
Yeah.
funner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at least, like, when you're visiting that person, it feels good to feel like you're not being hosted by them. You're just part of the family. Like, you're just
Yeah.
letting them go
Totally.
about their day and you're just a part of it.
Well, that's what I told Grace. Well, every time she comes up here, now she stays with me, so it's a little different. But beforehand, when I didn't have the space to share
Mhm.
and she was staying with other family members, I would just be like, I don't care what you have planned. Just know I'm there. In literally every plan you make, I'm included. And she was like, already noted.
Yeah, I'm
That's so sweet.
like that when my sister is around, so I get
Yeah.
it, you know? Mm,
But I would do that with you. We could do that. I would do it whatever you need me to do. I think it's fun.
if we didn't already see each other almost every day, yeah.
You and I used to run errands together
We
a
did,
lot.
we did. Oh,
It's funny. When I have to do things like that, I call you, Cece. I'm like,
yeah,
"What are you doing? Wanna go to UPS with me?"
yeah. I like some I grew up with a lot of that. I mean,
Mhm.
my friend who used to live in this house, again, I spent a lot of time with him just hanging out. Someone would be on the couch reading a book, someone would be playing guitar over in the
Mhm.
corner, like, just totally chill, doing your own thing, but together. So
Yeah.
I love those moments.
Mhm.
I only have that experience with one friend, and that was in high school, and she was basically my sister. She even lived with us for some time. I think that feeling is still foreign to me, though, because of how much I've blocked out that time in my life, because that was a very dark time in my life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But it does make me call back to that time, and I feel warm, and I do miss that. I do miss that relationship. We've made up, but it's never really gonna
It'll never be the
rekindle.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, the burn bridge is still there
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, that sucks when you really wanna go back so much and you just know you can't. 'Cause feel like everyone's had those moments in life where you yeah, you wish it could rebuild, but it can't. I've definitely put more effort into some relationships that I thought would bloom and did not. That always disappointed me. And yeah, a lot of lunches, a lot of, letting your guard down just a little bit and then not feeling heard or seen and then feeling like you wasted your time.
Yeah, it wasn't really reciprocated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate,
You
but
just weren't what they needed in that time.
exactly. That's what you need to understand at the end
Dude,
is
I'm telling you, when I had that epiphany, it was a life changer.
yeah. I do believe people come into your life when you need to,
Mhm.
and everyone needs to be reminded of that every so often. That like you could have the best friendship of all time and it can end.
Mhm.
because you might not need that friendship anymore because you're strong enough.
Yep. You just gotta let things naturally flow.
Mm,
Yeah, that's the thing about adult friendships as far as maintaining them. With you guys, we're so close knit and we also live by each other that we just always are seeing each other and keeping up with that connection.
mhm,
But I have my friend who I've had since kindergarten who we could go months without talking
Mhm.
and we know that we're still the best of friends. And I feel like for the most part, I am kind of that person where if life gets busy or if I'm going through something, I might not constantly be texting or talking to you, but I need to know that you're still going to be there and be that friend. And if it's a friend that needs more maintenance, that's not going to be able to, if I don't have the room in my life to do that, it's not going to be maintained unless they either understand that or if I'm able to step up and maintain it a little more. Like I know it kind of depends, but I need to have that trust with each other, that unspoken word that we are just always going to be friends,
mhm.
no matter how much we talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone has to understand that if they don't have to talk to you every day to be your best friend or whatever. They just need that moment of bringing it back,
Yeah.
and the feelings they come back.
Yeah. Like, I know, like, Grace and I don't talk every day, and there's been times where we haven't talked in 2 months. But I know that at any point in time, if I truly need her, she's there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
And that when we talk again, it's gonna be like we went no days talking.
Right.
Like it's not gonna change. Like there's that sense of trust and stability and that, she is one of my forever friends.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like as an adult you need that. Like you don't really need any more than that
Yeah.
or any less than that.
yeah. I've
Then yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm lucky that I have a few that I can literally pick up the phone and be like, "What's up? Tell me everything." Like, you're still one of my people.
Yeah.
Um, what I try to always point out to myself is that they have a life. They're doing what you're doing, just different.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how overwhelmed you feel in your daily life, and they have like kids on top of it. How do they So everyone, how you always say, give a little grace
Mhm.
and know that it's not that they don't want to call you, it's that they don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that distance and time start to build up, you know, just reach out a little bit and you can connect again.
Yeah. I mean, it's all like you said, think about how much of your day do you actually spend in your head
Mm-hmm.
versus anywhere else?
Oh my God.
Because me, I would say it's like 85% of my day that I spend inside my own brain. And it is not thinking about others, it is thinking about all of the, yeah, mental health shit,
Yeah.
and that's most of our society.
Mm-hmm.
And then a friendship shouldn't have to be nurtured every single day. I would say that at that point, that person needs to look inward if
Mm-hmm.
they're needing nurture from someone every single day.
Yeah.
Then they need to find their love within their self. Their solidarity within their self.
Yeah.
I
And
also,
that's actually, oh, sorry.
you can finish.
I was gonna say that's actually something I learned the most from you. I would say
Mm-hmm.
you've been the most impactful in my life. We're kind of like we're different. Like I'm opening you up on how to spend time with others. You're opening me up on how to spend time with more of myself,
Mm-hmm.
and in different ways.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that's the hardest part of making new friends is because it does take a little more effort at first. You have to put a little more energy into it, which if you have the capacity to do at the time,
Hmm.
great.
Hmm.
But sometimes we're just not, and that's okay too. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. You'll meet the people you're supposed to meet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I also wanted to say that as far as they might be going through something, you might be going through something, it's kind of the same as the romantic partnerships in
Hmm.
that it's a give and take. It's not always 50-50. You're not always going to be great at the same time. Sometimes my friend will be really going through it, and so I'll send a text and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking of you." There's no pressure to text back. Like, I just want to send you a love your way and
Mhm.
I care
Mhm.
about you and there's no pressure to reply ever. And sometimes she'll send them to me too when I'm going through it. And then sometimes we'll both be going through it and we'll just let each other know, or we'll both be fine and we'll just talk for hours. And it's also part of that. What is it? What was that thing I referenced the other episode? Collaborative healing project. That's what it was.
I'm
We are
like, you're asking me to recall what we talked about last week. I couldn't tell you what I ate 2 days ago.
I love that wording. I need that to stick in my brain. Collaborative healing project.
Oh. I actually had a girlfriend call me, well, a few days ago that I hadn't talked to in 3 years. I was getting ready to go out and run some errands, and I saw that she was calling, and I was like, "No way, I have to pick up." And she's like, "Oh, if you're busy, like, we'll talk another time." And I was like, "No, whatever I was doing, like, is put on hold because I haven't talked to you in so long." And I think we talked for like an hour before I was like, "All right, I really got to run this errand." But it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So I had a similar situation, except for I had a four-way FaceTime
Oh,
with 3 of my old high school friends.
okay.
One of them being my old high school best friend. And I was so nervous and like didn't want to do it. And not in the sense that like I didn't want to reconnect, but just in the sense of that like social anxiety,
Mhm.
like it's been 10 years.
Mhm.
Actually, I think it's been 12 years. It's been longer, and I haven't seen these people since then. I haven't talked to them since then. And so I was like, they're all moms. What do I talk about? And but it ended up being so fun and it was 5 hours long. Like it was
Yeah.
long, or maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it was like 2 or 3. And I got to like rebond with them and remember
Mhm.
why those connections were so special during those days in high school.
Mm.
And it was a cool opportunity. And it was a cool experience.
It's a wild experience to have.
Yeah, it was. And it was like one of those things kind of similar to how our podcast started, where
Yeah.
like someone throws like, "Oh my god, it would be so fun. We should FaceTime each other." And then everyone's like, "Yeah." And then it's happening. And you're like, "But the concept and the idea of it sounds so fun."
Mhm.
And like, "Oh my god, I would enjoy that."
Mm.
But then it's like the dread up until that point. Like I don't get excited about things. I feel dreadful when it comes to that kind of
Mm.
stuff. Like I just do. I have that
I would be nervous.
sinking pit in my stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I do it and at the end I feel fulfilled and it was a good conversation.
Surprisingly good,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those times where it's good to kind of push through that uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
Yeah, to step outside your comfort zone and get
Yeah.
comfy with the uncomfy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should do that more.
Mhm.
So like, we talked a lot about our current, I would say, experiences with adult friendships. But like, do you guys have where did I want to go with that question? How about having to end an adult friendship? So I've had to do that,
Yeah.
and that's hard.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. You like really thought about it too.
Mhm.
Because that was a hard one to end.
Mhm. Yeah, we've been friends for a long time. But we weren't in the same space anymore. We weren't benefiting each other in any way anymore.
Mhm.
It was one of those where I had to let it naturally fizzle out and
Yeah.
in some forms set my own boundaries.
I've only lost contact.
Yeah.
Like just kind of naturally they've moved to a different state and it just kind of fizzled out.
Mhm.
I haven't truly ended one per se. I've had boundaries, but I don't think that's the door's still semi open with that one.
Yeah.
There's still opportunity there to be friends again. So I don't really consider that ending the friendship
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. I just had one major one that was really, friend versus family. But I was young, and I just yeah, I don't know if I've talked about this before. It was in high school, and I had a girlfriend who would go after every guy I was interested in and all that, and it just was toxic.
Mhm.
I think we did better off on our own. Um, n and not that it was hard for me because I still loved her.
Mhm.
I just couldn't have that around me. I wasn't good with myself. I wasn't good with people who made me feel less, and I just needed that out of my life. Unfortunately, I never wished anything bad upon her. I couldn't have that energy around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that just because you cut someone out of your life, and I don't even like the word cut, because like
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, if she really, really needed me, I'd still be there for her. But it's like we don't need to be in each other's lives.
Mm.
Like I don't stop caring for her. I don't stop
Mhm.
loving her. I don't stop wishing her like the best absolute path in her life. I, she just her energy and my energy were not aligned.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I hated it at the time because she was still friends with my sister. So I
Mm.
would still see her,
Yep.
and I would get really upset because I'm like, I can't. It's almost like torture. She'd come to my house to
Hmm.
see my sister. It was really hard for me. I wasn't trying to be a bitch, but I sure as hell acted like one because I didn't know how to say, I'm trying to make this boundary.
Boundaries are
Yeah.
hard. They're really hard. They're not easy,
Yeah.
especially when you weren't taught how to do it
Yeah, because
or how to do it right.
at the time, no way in my head was I thinking, this is
Hmm.
a boundary and I'm okay. I
Yeah,
was just
no.
thinking I'm being a bitch and I don't like it, but I needed it.
Or I don't know what other way to react to
Mm-hmm.
get the same result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still talk to her this day and have been to her wedding and other things in her life and have
Hmm.
wished her nothing but happiness. It's just, I hope she knows how much of a struggle it was for me in those moments,
Yeah.
but you never know what's in someone else's brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have had a friend who had to cut out multiple friendships in their life, just because they were bad for their mental health, and that's one thing that if you're not good for me mentally, that's something that's easy for me to be like, all right, you don't get access to me then.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Um,
that's a hard one.
yeah, and that's one that I can set very confidently. It's
That's good.
protecting my mental health,
That
but
that is good. A lot of people don't.
yeah. It has to be semi big though. Like when it's small things that build up over time, I'm getting better at recognizing it now. But there was a time there that like it would just be slowly building up and building up and building up, and then it finally like hit me in the face and it's like, okay, I need to let this person go or not have this in my life or whatever. And this friend who was dealing with people like this in her life, I was like, nope, you cut them out. They're not good for you mentally. Like, this isn't worth it. You don't need to have them in your life. You need to let them go. And I hope that they're able to heal and move on and do better. And I know that by cutting them out of your life, that you will be able to heal and move on and do better.
Hmm.
So that's so important is knowing when to do that.
And the beauty behind that too is like, yes, you have to cut them out. But in that aspect of hoping that they grow doesn't mean that that relationship can't happen if it happens naturally again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there's going to be a lot of things there that would need to fall in place and it would have to naturally progress. It can't be forced on either side. But like if you truly like if people could take things like that and reflect inside themselves and be like, okay, what can I learn? What was I supposed to learn from this relationship? And how can I better navigate this situation or this type of relationship in my future relationships? Because I've definitely
Mhm.
taken, friendships. So I cut a friend out in my life when I was younger because of my ex-boyfriend. I cut a whole group of friends out.
Mm,
And I felt so horrible doing it. And it was nothing personal to her. I had to do it. But it
Mhm.
was a friendship that after a couple years rekindled. And I had to apologize for what I did to her because that, in her eyes, that it wasn't fair to her. She was in, yeah, whatever. It's a whole thing. I'm not gonna get into right now. But and so like we had to patch that up, and we won't be friends like we were once, but we're still, good friends. We'll talk every now and then and all of that. But it's just I had to take that and learn how to do it, how to better apply, the things I did wrong and the things that I did right into your next relationship. And if you can do that, those other relationships that you may have left, you might find them in your life again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very situational because that's definitely true. And if that friendship was in the right kind of spot to do that sort of thing, yeah. But if there was trauma, if they were abusive to you, because that can happen in friendships too,
Yes, yes, yes.
that's definitely you. Even if they've healed and moved on, you might be able to have an easier time forgiving them, but still being like, I'm good to like leave that where it is.
And that's just all where that natural flow goes.
Mm.
I've had things in my life happen where that person and I we didn't jive, we didn't hit
Mm-hmm.
it off or whatever. Again, none of this was around trauma a
Mhm.
whole lot. And then I was like, you know what? It's not meant to be. I'm going to walk away from that situation. And then in X amount of years, somehow, some way, we've then rekindled and become friends. And it's a weird experience and just kind of like a thing where like that's where I learned that, you don't force it. Just let it take its natural flow and hope that whoever is on the other end of that unfortunate, because, it happens, but it's unfortunate,
Mm-hmm.
is able to grow with it as well.
Mhm.
Doesn't happen that way most times.
Well,
But if you can spread that mindset.
yeah, it's just a matter of like, is that meant to be?
Mhm.
It will happen if it is, and if they just were there for a short time, not a long time, they
Mhm.
brought something into your life, or you taught them something,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
because that can happen too.
A
You could
big
have
one
been
of
in
those
love.
aha moments was my actual relationship with Derek.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't friends. I actually cut him out of my life at one point because of his
Mhm.
previous relationship and just like how toxic that was for me. I couldn't be a part of it. So I fully cut him out and he came back.
Yeah.
And now we're dating 7 years later
Yeah.
or almost 7. It's just crazy. Not that we're talking about platonic relationships, but
Well, romantic relationships start with a friendship.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, you should be best friends.
Yeah.
You should get to know each other really well. Or you should just go missing one day.
Oh God. Oh goodness. Yes.
At least you told your sister that you
Yeah.
were flying out to California.
Oh, that what she's talking about a different time.
You're talking about a different time?
I'm talking about
She's
John.
talking about John.
She went
Oh, I
missing.
remember you. I don't think I've ever actually heard this
You never
story.
heard? Okay. Viewers, listen up.
This is kind of off subject.
Yeah. So I was like in the mindset of I'm gonna date again. I'm just getting because I was terrified after my fiance passed that I would never date again. And then one day I was like, because I meditated so much every day, deep, deep shit. And I came to the conclusion I'm gonna fucking be happy. And I want to start dating again. And I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna be a little I'm just gonna have fun.
I'm going to interject because she wasn't just like, oh, I, met so and so and have known him for X amount of years. This girl was on like Bumble.
I was on something. I don't remember.
And so I want to give my perspective after you give your perspective because it's
Okay.
like
She was
it's so
in
funny.
it for the long haul. So she was with me through all this. I probably wouldn't be here today without you. So
I
I
love
hope you know
you.
how deep
Yeah,
my love for you runs.
I love you.
That time was shit. So back to the fun. Started going out on dates, whatever. I'd tell my sister what was going on. I think I shared locations with her at one point too. Oh no, that was after. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was after. And it's because um I met John, but not through an app. This was a crazy story of I think I might tell that story another time. So
That's
I met
fine. That's
John,
fine. Yeah, you don't have to go into super detail right now.
and I went to his house, and we started hanging out. And one night I decided I would stay the night because I really liked this guy, but I did not tell anyone.
Yeah.
And we kind of slept in because I wasn't worried. I was just like, oh, having, yeah, okay. So having fun. And so I overslept. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm digging a deeper hole for myself, but
Here, I'll just
everyone
interject. So
knows.
you decided to stay the night.
Yes.
So Cece had been she had been dating, right? And I was like mother hen with you with that. I was like, you just need to make sure that you do your research, like meet in public places. Like I was so concerned for your well-being.
Good lecture.
I watch a lot of true crime. So I'm just like, please be safe and like text me when you're leaving and just yeah. And
Ooh,
so I gotta
more context. I hadn't dated in 14 years.
yeah, like well, this is the first time stepping out of like your only relationship.
Yeah.
And so I was like, she's new. She's new and she's naive.
Yeah.
And so I worked I had a job where I couldn't have my phone on me. I had to stay in my car. And so I get a phone call in my office and it's my boyfriend. Cece's missing. What?
I'm gonna
I
die.
said, what do you mean Cece's missing? He's like, Cece's missing. Her sister just called me or like got the call from your dad or whatever. Somehow someone reached out to Derek and he called me and I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, what can I do with this information? Like, I don't have my phone on me. I don't have access to any of that. Like, I'm at work. And he was like, well, Sam wants to know if you can check your phone to see if she's reached out to you at all. And I was like, okay. So I run out to my parking lot. I run out to my car, which is a whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
And I get on my phone. I haven't heard anything from you, but I have a lot of notifications from your family. And so I was like, okay, let me give her a call. So I call her. And then I call her. And then I call her. And I call her. And mind you guys, at this point, it was like 2:00. It was not in the morning. It was like 2 p.m.
Context. I always had my phone on me at all times, so this was very alarming.
Yeah, like if you call Cece, she's gonna answer. And so I'm like, unless she's sleeping early in the morning, mind you, not 2 p.m.
Was it really 2 p.m.?
It was 2 p.m. because I was like, well, I could leave work early and we could go search for her because like I didn't know what to do. And so I I let your sister know. I hadn't heard from you. I tried calling you multiple times, so on and so forth. And so I was like, just, keep me posted. I gave her my work number with my, my desk transfer number or whatever. So she'd come right to my desk phone. And I get a call from you next, but it's like 3:30 or something like that.
Oh my God.
And then you tell me that you guys got woken up by the cops.
Yes. So I would take over from here.
I was fucking peeing.
So yeah, we wake up. We go downstairs. We're like hanging out. There's a knock at the door. We're like, what's going on? We walk over. There's a female police officer. And she goes, are you being held against your will? or are you Cecilia? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, are you being held against free will or whatever? I'm like, no. And she proceeds to tell me that my family is very concerned and I should call them. And I call my sister immediately because there's message, because I guess I left my phone upstairs and it was on silent. So she's bawling. I thought you were dead, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm fine. I just slept over at his house for the first time. Sorry. So yeah,
so fucking funny.
it's an ongoing joke that this woman will be invited to our wedding if there ever is one. I don't remember who she is or whatever, but we got to figure if you're listening out there. Yeah, traumatizing but hilarious. Because in the time I was like, oh my God, what the hell? My family really cares about me and all this shit. And oh, yeah. but it's hilarious now.
And then from that point on, I made Cece share
Share
her
location.
location with me. I was like, never again.
Oh my god.
And didn't your father like track you through your car or something like that?
I think that's how the police found me.
Yeah.
They went around looking for my car.
And the best part about it, guys, she was literally one fucking block over. Like we can see the tip of her house from our house.
Yes.
So fucking funny. When you
Yep.
told me, I was dying. Me and the
Yeah.
girls at the office were dying laughing. So I remember I went back in and I was like, my best friend's missing. Like, where did she go?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? And she's like, what does she do? I was like, I don't know. I'm at work when she's doing whatever she's doing. I was like, I know she goes to PT.
Yes, that's yeah. So
What did John think about all that?
he was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, that was literally. And then he's like, "Oh my god!" We kept reliving the story because we're like, we totally just got the cops called on us, and this is like such a big moment, and like,
Mhm.
holy shit, that yeah, it replayed a lot, and we talked about it a lot.
That's when you guys decided if it was going to be a one-night stand or not.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept going back.
Mhm.
Because I liked him and I enjoyed his company.
Yeah, she did.
Company.
Well, you know. Everyone take a sip. So with that tangent aside, it made me realize exactly how many people, number one, how many people loved me and cared. Like I had Autumn texting, I had my sister, obviously, but like my friends were like, "Are you okay?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was really great to feel that love from your friends that like you were only missing for a few hours, but they
Yeah.
cared enough to text that many times, call, and
It
all
was
that.
almost 24 hours, but okay.
It didn't feel that long.
But
Didn't feel-
no, yeah, that was definitely like a whoa, my friend is missing moment.
Mhm.
Very grateful for you, Cece.
I'm still here.
But yeah, I think there can be more on this conversation. If you guys want to hear more, we can go deeper on it. I think there's a vulnerability aspect that's a whole new thing when you're an
Mhm.
adult versus when you're a child and how they're different that I would love to touch on if you guys want to have that further conversation. But I think that we've touched on everything we wanted to say today, and we would love if you share your experiences and your
Yeah.
stories on the topic we talked about and how you related to it and just like yeah, share anything. It could simply just even be hi.
Yeah. Build that friendship with us. Whoa.
Yes, yes. We want to interact with you, all of you,
Mhm.
any of you.
Yes. The social butterflies and the fellow introverted of introverts. We
Mhm.
love you all.
Yes.
And we appreciate you being here and listening to us today. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Peace out. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Unfiltered 3. Remember, we release new episodes every Monday. But if that's not enough, connect with us on our socials at Unfiltered 3, where we can uplift, inspire, and embark on this journey together. Thank you for listening and for being a part of our community. Until next time, take care and keep shining your authentic light. Bye, guys.
Bye.